Welcome to the Functional Medicine Foundation's podcast, where we explore root cause medicine, engage in conversation with functional and integrative medicine experts, and build community with like-minded health seekers. I'm your host, Amber Warren. Let's dig deeper. Welcome back, everybody. We're so excited for a little bit different variation of the theme on our podcast episode. So I'm here with Heather Lucas, nurse practitioner that works at the Center for Optimal Health, FMI Center for Optimal Health with me. And we're here tonight to talk about all things peptides, or at least share about our favorite peptides, right? The ones we like to utilize the most in our clinical practice, and maybe on ourselves or on our spouses if they're our guinea pigs, as we learn more and more about these new peptides. So it's pretty exciting. So I'll let Heather take it away with a little intro.
Absolutely. Just diving into this topic that's gaining a lot of buzz in the health optimization world, and really just in the whole world. People are learning about peptides and just have a lot of questions. So hopefully we can help answer some of those for you. Whether you're dealing with chronic inflammation, fatigue, gut issues, autoimmunity, or just wanting to optimize your longevity, peptides are showing up as powerful allies for healing at the cellular level. So in today's podcast, we'll unpack what peptides are and how they work in your body, the most popular and effective peptides used in functional medicine, and how to know if peptide therapy might be right for you. So whether you're a patient, practitioner, or just peptide curious, stick around. You're going to learn how these small molecules can make a big difference.
I think we just found our next podcast hosts with that beautiful intro. Thank you so much, Heather. That was amazing.
You bet. So what are some of your favorite peptides, Amber?
Well, I wanted to start with diving into probably one of my favorites, just because of what we're continuing to learn about this peptide, but more because I think it is absolutely a magical peptide. And it reminds me of that. There's a saying, and I'm not going to get this right, but like when it comes to any kind of medicinal approach, the dose is whether or not it's going to be a poison or therapeutic is always about the dose, right? Mm-hmm. And that I always think of it when I'm thinking about how we choose to microdose this peptide, right? And of course, I'm talking about these glucagon-like polypeptides, GLP-1s, right? Again, we've kind of gotten used to microdosing our clients with this peptide, and we're finding out that it does so much more than just improve metabolic health and help people lose weight, and actually has some muscle sparing protective effects, which is pretty amazing when someone's on a weight loss journey. But some of the newer data that's coming out is actually showing us what it's doing for cardiovascular health, for kidney health, for mental health support, even how it's helping prevent things like glaucoma and is improving eye health. So I just wanted to talk through some of these, and please intercept, because I know you prescribe and you microdose a lot of this peptide in our clinic as well. But from a cardiovascular health perspective, we see it improve endothelial function, which is our vessel walls. It helps to lower blood pressure. I've actually I've used this peptide with a lot of success on helping to lower blood pressure in really tough cases. It improves cholesterol, lipids. We know that a high insulin state will decrease nitric oxide production. There's a lot of talk about nitric oxide right now, which will damage the endothelial and vessel walls. And so when we can improve somebody's fasting insulin and improve a state of insulin resistance, then we can decrease plaque formation, which is pretty amazing. So mechanistically, it's very helpful there. We see it helping with heart failure and atrial fibrillation. We've been using it for a long time, actually, in things like for things like fatty liver and just inflammation in the liver as well. I think the statistics are something like 50 to 60% of people have fatty liver nowadays, mostly because of our toxins in the food supply and the highly processed foods. Mm-hmm. We're even now seeing it useful for hormonal conditions like polycystic ovarian syndrome and endometriosis. And the mechanism there, of course, is improving insulin sensitivity, but it also works to decrease testosterone levels in women when our testosterone levels are too high and normalize our cycles. And then similarly in endometriosis, it's helpful in those cases, but also it helps to decrease proliferation of the endometrial lining. So helpful in that case that can dramatically impact fertility. On the line of men's fertility, it actually can increase sperm motility and naturally increase testosterone, which is pretty incredible. We're seeing it being beneficial for a lot of different autoimmune diseases, very specifically actually in psoriasis and psoriatic arthritis, on how it can help skin lesions. And I mentioned it earlier, but there's been so much controversy on these GLP-1s, and we see it all the time, right? These patients that come to see us dosing really high doses. You know, the starting dose when you're looking at some of these auto injector pharmacological products is starting at 25 units, and then you double it and go to 50 after 4 weeks, 75, and then 100, and sometimes even up to 125 milligrams, which thankfully I've never seen a client that high, but that, to be honest, frightens me that people would be taking that much of a glucagon-like polypeptide. So the controversy out there is that, yeah, everyone's going to lose muscle mass when they're going on these higher doses, mostly because they're losing weight so quickly that their body doesn't have time to preserve that skeletal muscle mass.
Right. It's that rapid weight loss.
Yes. So it's not actually the peptide causing it, it's rapid weight loss. I mean, there's been head-to-head studies they've done. They say, okay, Ms. Smith comes in and loses 50 pounds. And then, you know, Mrs. K over here comes and loses 50 pounds. One is on these peptides, one is not. And they will lose the same amount of muscle mass if they lose that weight in the same amount of time. And what are some of the issues we see with these clients coming in on this peptide, especially high doses?
Yeah, constipation, nausea, vomiting, heartburn, all the gut issues.
They're not detoxing because they're not having normal bowel movements. And the other reason they're losing muscle mass is because they're not eating protein or nearly enough.
Their appetite is so suppressed.
Or they're not eating at all.
That they're not just in a calorie deficit, they're in a nutrition deficit.
Amen.
So their body has no other choice but to get that protein from somewhere.
Right.
And where are they going to get it from? It's going to eat your muscle.
Yeah.
And yes, you hit on a great point. Any rapid weight loss is going to produce muscle loss. Actually, if you're in a caloric deficit, you're going to lose a little bit of muscle too. But yes, our goal with using this in a microdose way is that you're getting a small amount of appetite suppression, more of quieting of the food noise or that carbohydrate craving, but not so much appetite suppression where you're not able to fuel your body with the nutrition that it needs to take care of itself. So yeah, I really like the microdosing way too.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you just really start low and go slow. And it can be difficult to predict what dose is going to work for people. And of course, it always depends on their modifiable lifestyle factors, what they're doing at home, right? And it's worth mentioning the exercise component. We make sure our clients are hooked up with some kind of, whether it's a strength coach or at least a gym membership or something. And we're really encouraging them to lift heavy. Especially as we age and especially as we get closer to menopause as women, we're just more at risk of that sarcopenic state where we're losing lean muscle mass, and it's really damaging to our longevity genes and our inflammation in our body
and our hormones.
I was just going to say to our hormones, you know that probably better than I do. So again, it's the devil's always in the details, and we really try and hit details here when we're talking about microdosing, especially this peptide. So where I was going with that when it comes to, muscle regulation and muscle preservation, I should say, is we're actually finding out that these lower doses of these GLP-1 actually has some anti-atrophy benefits, mostly because the mechanism is it increases mTOR and IGF-1. And so it can be very anabolic to muscle and can also help to increase the endurance of the muscle. So it helps people when they're trying to reach those exercise goals. We actually do see it preserve bone metabolic density. So it does preserve and it can improve bone health. Skin, we're seeing it improving collagen synthesis, elasticity. The mechanism there is it decreases TNF alpha, which is an inflammatory cytokine that causes the skin to age more quickly. I already mentioned some of the eye benefits. It can help with a diabetic retinopathy and it's protective against glaucoma. Mental health, I actually learned this. It's amazing what you learn from your patients if you're just humble enough to listen, right? I've had a handful of clients, small, thin women come in saying they want to try microdosing for mental health. And I didn't actually know, this was a little bit ago, and I didn't know it was actually an indication. And I'm like, well, you don't need, I can't put you on this. You're going to lose weight and muscle. You don't need to do that, right? But then the more I started to read and study, and it's these women that either don't tolerate SSRIs or some of these anti-anxiolytics or antidepressants and don't want the side effects of them. They're gaining, either they're, having more mental health issues with it, or they might be gaining weight from these SSRIs. So
or low libido
or experiencing low libido, low cortisol levels. So what it does is we know what it does to the serotonin pathway in the brain, and it helps to lessen the need for those like dopamine hits, and it modulates GABA pathways. So that makes it really, GABA is a neurotransmitter that's very anti-anxiety for the brain. And because of what we know about what it does for these triggers, we're also finding it's really beneficial in drug and alcohol addiction and dependence. And who wouldn't want to benefit our society from that, right?
Or any type of addictive behavior.
Any type of addictive behavior.
I have one patient who quit smoking.
So cool.
With after starting on the GLP-GIP peptide.
Love it. That's so cool. I love it. Benefiting the immune system. And I think the mechanism there is mostly because of what we know, insulin resistance and what high glucose levels pre-diabetes will do to the immune system, the kind of chaotic inflammatory state it drives. We know it drives oxidative stress, and oxidative stress, it's a vicious cycle because then it causes cellular and mitochondria damage. And we don't want to shut down our mitochondria because those are our little organelles that make ATP, they make energy. So it just creates a vicious cycle. I can't help but think, knowing what we know, what it does for inflammation and NF-kappa B and all these inflammatory cytokines, where would we have been 4 or 5 years ago when COVID hit? If we would have had this as a tool, right? As healthcare practitioners, if we could have been microdosing this, not only for treatment purposes when the inflammatory storm, the cytokine storm started, but also just prophylactic reasons. I just can't help but think,
just lowering overall inflammation that was either caused from the virus or from just high sugars or whatever.
Yeah, or just we know statistically speaking, when our morbidly obese clients got COVID, right? They were the ones dying. And if we could have gotten, I feel like that could be a podcast on its own. How could we approach COVID differently now, 5 years later?
Right. We've all learned some valuable lessons in these 5 years, for sure, haven't we?
Yes. Even gut health. It improves short chain fatty acids in the gut. Short chain fatty acids are the most robust fuel source for our colonocytes, which are the cells in our colon and in our gut. So we're seeing a lot of benefits in, yes, for the autoimmune benefits, but also just directly gut health, things like inflammatory bowel disease, ulcerative colitis. We learned recently there's even some anti-cancer properties of these GLP-1s. And yes, again, I think the mechanism is obesity drives so many cancers. There's various mechanisms, so many mechanisms at play there, but they're starting to study it more for our oncology medicine. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, I could go on and on, but those are some of the things that I really wanted to hit home. But I do feel like we could dedicate an entire episode to just some of these benefits, and even some of the stories you and I are seeing using this type of peptide.
And including some of the tricks and tips that we've learned for helping people to be successful using this peptide or these peptides, because there's a few different ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
You hit on the protein intake, how important that is, strength training to avoid muscle loss.
Yep.
And just the kind of the way that we're adjusting dosing, I think.
Adjustment of doses, start low, go slow is really my mantra. You really watch side effects, and you have to educate them on their side effects, right? I've had a couple clients where they get really bad, you mentioned it, but GERD, and they didn't know the peptide was causing it. And it was really disruptive to their life. And I'm like, oh yeah, hold on. We probably went a little too high. Let's back off a little, or even break up the dosing. It doesn't have to be injected once a week, right? I don't think a lot of people know that. But if you reach a little bit higher dose and it's starting to work for you for inflammation and weight loss, but you do find, oh goodness gracious, that second day after you dose, you're just not hungry at all to eat our good quality protein rich foods, then maybe we dose twice a week and see how that goes. Go back to that original dose, but just dose it more often. So yeah, it's interesting. And then of course there's a lot of supplements that we put our patients on. I shouldn't say a lot, but a small handful of supplements we ask them to take to preserve that lean muscle mass and essentially make the peptide more effective, so we can get by with lower doses.
With the lower doses. Yeah. Making it more cost effective for people too.
Great point. So much more cost effective when you get by with a quarter of the dose that maybe you thought you had to utilize.
Right.
That's great. So I could go on and on, but I'll stop there because I know there's other peptides.
I know. It's such a great one.
It is.
And actually I promised that we would talk about what peptides are. And I skipped that part.
Thank you. Okay, let's revert back. I got too excited about the GLP-1s.
Well, what are peptides exactly? Peptides are short chains of amino acids that act that are building blocks of proteins that act as little messengers in the body. So think of them as signals that tell your body to heal injuries, boost immune function, burn fat, build muscle, enhance cognitive function, or even sleep better. And what's amazing is that your body already makes these peptides. Yeah. But with aging, stress, and inflammation, our production slows down. And that's where peptide therapy really comes in and shines. Peptides interfere with the aging process by directing cells to continue functioning the way that they were intended. Peptides can be extremely effective for targeting a single pathway or mechanism in the body with great precision. So then we can continue on with maybe a couple of my favorite peptides.
Go for it. I'd love to hear it.
We'll talk about this powerful peptide blend that's gaining serious momentum in the functional medicine and regenerative medicine circles, and it's called GLOW. This is a trio of regenerative peptides, including BPC-157, TB500, and GHK copper. So I'm going to break this down by each individual peptide and then sum it up with why we like to use these as a combination.
Great.
BPC-157 is kind of nicknamed the body protection compound. This is one through our peptide certification course. Dr. Seeds teaches that this peptide is one that should just be in the drinking water.
Yeah.
Because everybody can benefit from this
It's so
peptide.
true. Yeah,
it has it has just overall body protection compound. It's known for its healing superpowers. It can be used as an injectable or oral form, depending on what our target of therapy is. So when it's used as a subcutaneous injection and absorbed systemically, it helps to repair tissues like muscles, tendons, bone, skin, and this makes it very popular among athletes and people recovering from injuries. BPC can be taken orally when we're trying to target gastrointestinal issues like gastric ulcers, gut inflammation, or leaky gut. BPC-157 is derived from gastric juice, so it is something that's already found in your body, and it's incredibly effective at promoting, as I already mentioned, the tissue repair. It has anti-inflammatory effects, and it helps to stimulate blood vessel regeneration. And with more blood vessels, we can more effectively deliver nutrients to damaged tissues for healing. So for anyone dealing with an injury, chronic pain, or leaky gut, BPC-157 is a go-to for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was also reading about how it is protective against the mitochondria. It protects the mitochondria. And I feel like mitochondrial medicine is kind of its own thing right now, right?
So much attention around mitochondria right now.
Yeah, but I didn't realize until fairly recently that BPC-157 is protective against the mitochondria.
Another cool benefit of the body protection compound. The next peptide that is included in this glow stack is called TB500, and this peptide is found in nearly every part of the human body, and it is a tissue repair powerhouse. It increases the activity of the muscle protein actin, and it promotes cellular growth and stimulates blood cell development. And it's been shown to repair damage in the heart, skin, ligaments, and other organs, as well as provides some pain relief. TB500 supports faster muscle recovery, so post-exercise or injury muscle recovery, wound healing by boosting cell growth and reducing inflammation. Think of it as kind of a master coordinator of cellular repair. It's especially helpful for athletic recovery, chronic inflammatory conditions, neuro repair, thinking about like a traumatic brain injury or concussion. This can be helpful in reducing that neuroinflammation associated with brain injury. It's even effective for post-infection tissue repair. So think of Lyme disease or COVID, like that brain fog and cognitive, like word searching, or just not feeling like you're able to complete sentences or complete thoughts, or you're wandering into a room and oh wait, what did I come in here for? Those are all kind of signs of neuroinflammation. So TB500 can be really helpful in slowing down some of that.
Well, and it's worth noting that we prescribe that there's a peptide, a combination peptide that just has BPC-157 and TB500. It's incredible, right? You're talking about the glow that has all three, which is amazing. But I'm just thinking for, post TBI, concussion, post viral healing, just using the BPC-157, TB500, it's a magical combination peptide.
Right.
That in and of itself. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I wanted to break down. I love this as a product, as a trio product.
I do too.
But I love each peptide as an individual too. And we can combine it in different ways for different effects, right? So the third and final peptide in this trio is called GHK copper. It's a naturally occurring copper complex found in human blood, saliva, and urine, so naturally found in our body. It's another anti-inflammatory agent that controls oxidative damage post-tissue injury, as well as signaling tissue remodeling and regeneration of new healthy tissue. This beauty and brain peptide supports skin regeneration and collagen production to improve skin elasticity, reduces wrinkles, and enhances hair growth. This is one that is kind of a big one. The TB500 has the hair growth benefits to it as well.
Yeah.
It's a big hit in skincare, but it's also being explored for wound healing and cognitive health. So this peptide can be injected subcutaneously for systemic effects, or it can be applied topically for skin health. Ladies will use it on their face to help with fine lines and wrinkles and photo damage, or it can be applied as like a foam to the scalp to help with hair regrowth.
Yeah.
So this is where things get really exciting from a beauty and anti-aging perspective. GHK copper has actually been studied for decades for its ability to stimulate collagen and elastin production. So that's where it helps with the fine lines and wrinkles, improves skin texture and elasticity. It speeds up wound healing, and it can even reset gene expression related to aging and inflammation. So it's not just skin deep. It also has antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects that support the whole body health. So each peptide, like I already mentioned, is really great on its own, but when you combine them together, you get a synergistic trifecta of internal healing for the gut, joints, and skin, and then cellular regeneration and visible rejuvenation with the hair and the facial skin and connective tissues. So this is an ideal peptide for people recovering from injury or surgery, chronic inflammatory illness, or just those looking to optimize their vitality and glow, quite literally.
I love that. Great job. Great job. That's so awesome. Yeah. And kind of in that same arena of talking about anti-aging peptides, this is one that a lot of med spas have actually been using for several years now. It's called Epitalion. And I've seen some really great benefits. It actually, the mechanism is it activates telomerase, which is an enzyme that promotes telomeres and their health. So telomeres think of them as like end caps at the end of chromosomes that can reduce aging at a cellular level. You can actually measure telomere length, and it can help predict the aging process in a human. But yeah, so it reduces the aging process. It improves melanotan production. Melatonin production. Melanotan is another peptide. Melatonin production. So we can use this by itself or in combination with other peptides to really help with antioxidant and help with sleep also because of what melatonin does to sleep. But it restores circadian rhythms, and it actually has anti-tumor activity. So another anti-cancer peptide that is being studied for. And it improves immune dysfunction. It works at the level of the immune system too, helping with some T helper cells. So it's a pretty incredible peptide. But yeah, I think of it as like the med spa peptide because I do know a lot of med spas are utilizing it. But I've used it with great success. And there's good science supporting its use when you stack it with a peptide called DSAP, so delta sleep inducing peptide. So this is a peptide that I've used with my most significant insomniac patients. It helps to improve the delta wave sleep, which is your slow wave sleep, which is your most restorative phase of sleep. And I'm telling you, when those two are used in combination for somebody who's either been a shift worker their whole life, or I actually had a client who was molested as a little girl. And so nighttime became a very traumatic experience for her, even when she was away from the trauma and the perpetrator, but she could never sleep. And using a combination of these type of peptides actually helped to restore her circadian rhythm and calm her body down enough at night to be able to allow her to fall asleep at night. So that was huge for her.
And sleep is so important for everything part of our life.
Everything.
And so helping someone, like you mentioned, your client is helping someone to sleep can just really change their entire life.
Oh, absolutely. And it did. She felt like her life was given back to her, right? When she was able to finally like lay in bed and fall asleep and enjoy the benefits that sleep had to offer. Yeah, it was amazing. But this delta sleep inducing peptide, we're also finding it has other like neuroprotective benefits and stress relieving benefits. So again, some of these clients that are just, stuck in fight or flight and sleep is their biggest issue, you can't work on their nervous system until you can get them sleeping. And that's where I think some of these peptides to help regulate that. But then you find out that one of these peptides also helps to combat stress and improve stress resiliency. Like it really is a slam dunk for a lot of people. So I love using those two together.
That's a great little stack.
I know. Yeah, it is a great stack. I love it.
Well, let's talk about the next powerful category of peptides that sits right at the intersection of longevity, metabolic health, and cellular repair, since we're just on that pathway
Love it.
anyways.
Keep going.
And those are our growth hormone releasing peptides. So these aren't synthetic hormones that we're talking about here. They are messenger molecules that tell your body to naturally release more of its own growth hormone in healthy physiologic pulses without shutting down your body's own production. So very unique qualities there. Some people will use growth hormone, but we know that that comes with its own set of side effects and stops your body from making its own. It interferes with that feedback pathway.
Right.
So that's why I really love these growth hormone releasing analogs and growth hormone releasing peptides, because they work with your body to just enhance your body's own natural function
without reaching like these super physiologic levels that can be dangerous for people.
Right.
Yeah.
Promoting too much growth is there's such thing as too much of a good thing.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. And I love it too. I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I love it because we can actually check individuals' IGF-1 levels, and IGF-1 is a precursor to actual growth hormone. And so this is one where we can actually say, yes, we have proof that you would benefit. Look at your labs. Your levels of IGF are really low. You would benefit, even if it's just, I tell my clients, I get it. Sometimes this can all be cost prohibitive, but you could even benefit from just 6 weeks of this by getting your growth hormone levels up.
Yeah.
While we're working.
Just short term. Do it in cycles.
Absolutely. Yep.
It doesn't have to be once you start these peptides, you're not on them forever.
No.
It's
almost rarely the goal to keep you on them forever. Yeah. I'm sorry. Keep going though, because this is a great peptide.
Yeah. So one of my favorites and most effective combos in this space, in this category, is a peptide called CJC-1295 combined with ipamorelin.
Yep.
So CJC-1295 is a growth hormone releasing, a growth hormone releasing hormone analog. So kind of tricky with the words here. It extends the half-life of your body's natural growth hormone release and encourages a more consistent production. And this works in tandem with the ipamorelin, which is a growth hormone releasing peptide, which stimulates your pituitary gland to release pulses of growth hormone without raising cortisol, prolactin, or ghrelin. So the CJC being combined with the ipamorelin just extends the half-life of the growth hormone. So you're getting just more benefit out of your body's own natural release of growth hormone. So when you put them together, you've got a powerful synergistic duo that mimics the body's natural growth hormone rhythm without overstimulation or harsh side effects. Think of this stack it's gaining a lot of traction in functional medicine, athletic performance, and longevity spaces because it supports some of the key pillars that we really focus on in functional medicine.
Right.
One, deeper, more restorative sleep. We just talked about how important restorative deep sleep is. The growth hormone is released primarily at night. And so if you're not sleeping well, your body may not be releasing growth hormone in good, healthy pulses like it did when you were in your 20s, maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
Another pillar that it hits is improved recovery and tissue repair. So we're telling people you need to be lifting heavy things. You need to be eating protein. Well, your body needs to repair and regrow those tissues at nighttime too. So this peptide can help with improved recovery and it boosts collagen and supports connective tissue and accelerates joint and muscle repair. Another pillar that it hits on is lean body composition. Growth hormone promotes lipolysis, and that's the breakdown of fat cells. So this helps to preserve or build lean muscle, especially when paired with resistance training. So important to put the plug in there for resistance training, how important that is. This peptide combo can also support cognitive clarity and mood. Many users report improved mental sharpness, motivation, and just overall sense of well-being while they're taking this peptide. Likely due to their improved sleep, really.
I was going to say, yeah. And from what I know, these growth hormone analogs help to improve the lymphatic flow. So it's like the lymphatic drainage of your brain is called the lymphatic drainage. And that's what happens at night. So your brain is literally taking out the trash at night and detoxing at night. And that's one of the side effects. I think most people go on this peptide, maybe a little bit of muscle growth, fat loss, exercise recovery. And one of the benefits that they notice first before they actually start to see some of those benefits is oh my gosh, I feel so much better. I've never slept so well in my life.
Yeah.
Because it works pretty quickly to improve that restorative sleep. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it sure is. And then lastly, the last pillar here that it hits is just the healthy aging and longevity support by helping to maintain skin elasticity, bone density, and mitochondria health. Back to our little mitochondria powerhouses.
Love me some mitochondria.
So this peptide combo is perfect for adults greater than 35. Usually, that's when we start to notice a decrease, maybe in our natural growth hormone production. Yeah. So, in adults, those with poor recovery, sleep disruptions, or low vitality, people recovering from chronic illness, injury, or surgery, or high performers just looking to support body composition and resilience. It's typically used as a subcutaneous injection taken 5 out of 7 nights of the week, running in a cyclical protocol where you do it maybe for 8 to 12 weeks, and then you take a break for a little while, and you can do repeated cycles. Unlike direct growth hormone therapy, as I already mentioned, this combo preserves natural feedback loops, making it safer and more functional for long-term use.
And Heather mentioned the dosing, which is really important. It's 5 nights out of 7. And that's because you want to really give your body a break those 2 nights a week and not oversaturate the receptor, and keep your own, more importantly, keep your own endogenous growth hormone pumping, right? We don't want to shut down that response.
Exactly.
So the dosage is really key there. And that's also why you want to just be careful who you're getting these peptides from. And no, we'll touch on that a little bit later, but no, yeah, someone's recommending appropriate dosages for you.
And cycles.
Good point. Yep. Mm-hmm. That's great. Yeah. Is that it?
That's all. That's all for my
great job.
CJC.
I love how you hit on those pillars. I just have to say it. When you were talking about how anyone could be a good candidate when they're hitting 35, because that's when you see growth hormones start to slide. I feel like we used to look at our parents as they aged, or our grandparents when we were growing up, and be like, oh, 70, 75 is when stuff starts to happen. And now there's all this talk on all the hormonal fluctuations we notice in our mid 30s. And it's so depressing.
Right.
It's oh my gosh, mid 30s is so young.
It is young.
And now it's wow, that's when you start to lose your hormone. I mean, testosterone declines, growth hormone declines, progesterone starts to decline in your mid 30s. What the heck? But valuable knowledge. Knowledge is power. And we get to, create a better environment when we know that these things start to really fluctuate in our mid 30s.
Right. And we're living in a different type of environment than our grandparents did.
Great point.
Unfortunately, we live in a more toxic world.
Yeah.
Just with
they probably didn't start to have, we actually know they didn't start to have these hormonal changes. It's just so sad. To think how quickly we've gotten where we are, where we start to have these shifts happen so much younger. And there's all sorts of predictive studies being done. Are even people going to be fertile in their 20s even more? I mean, that's we don't talk about a conversation, but it is concerning.
But a bright note to that is the fact that we do work in functional medicine, and we have access to really great detoxification protocols. We can support liver, kidney health, brain health. We can support your hormones. We have peptides. We have a lot of these tools in our toolbox.
Yeah.
And I'm also a strong believer that God prepared us for a time such as this. So even though we're not living in the same clean environment as our grandparents did, God knew that we were going to live in the environment that we lived in, and he prepared our bodies.
We're educated, we're aware, people are hungry for this information, and they want to know how to help themselves and their family members. Yeah, no, I love it. Changing tide a little bit, but still on the same topic that we've been talking about, mitochondrial health is one of my new favorites to use in clinical practice. It's called MOTS-c, and it is memorize this one, M for mitochondria, because this one is all about mitochondrial health and helping to restore mitochondrial health after it's been damaged. And I won't go into it too much, but there's a number of things that will damage your mitochondria. Toxins, excess stress, sleep deprivation, micronutrient deficiencies, parasites, actually chronic viruses. Those are all things that damage our mitochondria. And we start to get fatigued, and we age faster, and we have more brain fog. So we need to keep our mitochondrial health, and of course, figuring out root cause to all the things I mentioned are key. But this MOTS-c really comes in and helps to generate more ATP, and helps to just restore mitochondrial health. Helps us to adapt to stressors a little bit better. So we notice we're burning energy more quickly. So it helps with burning fat. It's boosting energy levels. and improving insulin sensitivity and glucose regulation. So it's a really good option for those clients that are looking, maybe they've finished with their microdosing, they've reached their weight loss goals with something like a GLP-1, and now they're wanting to restore mitochondrial health and still help with blood sugar regulation. It's a great peptide for that. I've been using it on some of my mold clients because mold is something that will just destroy your mitochondria. And these clients have a ton of chronic fatigue and brain fog. And so while we're working on, trying to get them out of the moldy environment and detox their systems and open up pathways, I'm loving this peptide just to help boost their mitochondria and give them a little bit more oomph and restoration there. So it's been really amazing. It is not a cheap peptide. It's probably one of the more expensive peptides that we offer, but my goodness, if it works, no one will be thinking about the price tag when they can.
Yeah, I was actually just reading about a study where they were using MOTS-c to help people with congestive heart failure. And
I can see that.
Because where are our mitochondria hanging out? In our muscle.
Yeah.
What's our heart? A
All
big muscle.
Yeah.
And so restoring the function of those mitochondria help to restore the function of the heart muscle.
I actually think the heart might be the highest density of mitochondria. It's either the brain or the heart. I can't remember. It's one of them though. But yeah, the highest density of mitochondria. So that makes so much sense for cardiovascular health and heart failure. That's great. Yeah, no, I'm loving it, and I'm looking forward to trying it in more clinical scenarios.
Yeah,
for some of these clients.
Good.
I know you have one you're really excited to talk about.
I know. I actually just kind of learned about this peptide, and I'm really excited about it because, well, let's get into it. This is a little lesser known, but incredibly promising peptide. It's called Cardilax.
Can you spell that for us?
Cartalax.
Okay, great.
Cardilax.
Great.
And if you or someone you know struggles with joint degeneration, cartilage wear and tear, or chronic musculoskeletal pain, this one's for you.
This is for you.
When I think of Cardilax, the way I kind of remember it is cartilage.
Cartilage, yeah. Okay.
Some these peptides kind of try to model a little, their names kind of model what they target. But so Cardilax is a short peptide bioregulator that specifically targets cartilage tissue.
Cool.
It's derived from research in peptide epigenetics and cellular repair, particularly in Russia and Eastern Europe. They've been studying it for decades.
Cool.
So like the fact that I just learned about this one not too long ago, I was surprised because it's been around for many years. What makes it unique is that it doesn't just suppress symptoms. It aims to restore the normal function of cartilage cells by supporting gene expression and cellular repair right at the tissue level. So in functional medicine terms, it's a root cause tool for improving joint health and slowing degenerative changes. The way it works is that it stimulates cartilage regeneration. It helps to modulate the expression of genes involved in cartilage growth, elasticity, and repair, making it especially helpful for patients with osteoarthritis, overuse injuries, or age-related joint degeneration.
Is it injected into the joint?
It is injected subcutaneously.
Okay.
Near the so if you're trying to target, say, your right shoulder.
So it's kind of like BPC. We can inject it around the area and it'll travel intra-articular.
Exactly.
Cool. That's neat. Okay.
Exactly. So it helps to reduce inflammation in joint tissues. It has the anti-inflammatory properties specific to synovial tissue and cartilage. So that helps to relieve pain and stiffness without suppressing the immune system that some people use corticosteroids for. And we know that corticosteroids come with their whole host of side effects and concerns. So this is really nice that it doesn't affect the immune system in that way. It slows down joint degeneration, like in conditions like arthritis, by supporting the normal biology of the cartilage cells. It also, users often report improved range of motion, joint mobility, and decreased joint discomfort, especially when used consistently over several weeks. Cardilax might be helpful for adults with early to moderate osteoarthritis, athletes, or active individuals with joint wear and tear, people recovering from orthopedic surgery or joint traumas, or anyone just looking to support healthy aging of the joints and connective tissues. It's also a really interesting adjunct that can be used with PRP.
I was actually thinking that.
Which is platelet-rich plasma. Injections that can be directly injected into the joints or ligaments. So this can be used in conjunction with that. Also can be used alongside BPC-157.
Absolutely.
A lot of similar anti-inflammatory tissue regeneration type effects. So could be a really good synergistic effect between those two as well.
That's great. Have you told Dr. Musnick about it? He needs to know.
I mentioned it to him and I
Okay.
dropped off some information
Great.
on
You're
his
the
desk.
best.
So
You're
I'm
the
sure
best.
he's
Okay.
digging into
Yeah.
it. So one thing that I do like about this peptide too, we've talked about them being used in different cycles, different durations. This is not a terribly expensive peptide, and it's used in a 10 to 20 day cycle of dosing. So you use it for 10 to 20 days and then you take a break from it.
Okay.
And you may use it again in a few months for another 10 to 20 days and take a break from it, depending on what else you're doing to kind of help reduce and repair some of that joint degeneration or pain or inflammation that you're experiencing. So of course, diet and lifestyle has a lot to do with that as well. But I just like this one because it can be used just in short cycles. It's well tolerated, it's non-immunogenic, and it works with the body's own regulatory systems, not overriding them. So what makes Cardilax exciting from a root cause perspective is that it helps to reprogram tissue repair at the cellular level, not just mask the pain and inflammation. So instead of reaching for NSAIDs like Tylenol or ibuprofen or corticosteroids that we already mentioned, which come with its own side effects, Cardilax helps restore balance, structure, and function in the very tissue that's breaking down. It kind of offers a new frontier in joint and cartilage regeneration. It's gentle, biologically intelligent, and aligned with the way that our body heals. So whether you're recovering from injury, aging with active goals, or just wanting to stay mobile and pain-free, it's a peptide worth knowing.
It's awesome. Oh, I love it. Yeah. So many different, I'm just thinking about all the different indications and usages for people that otherwise feel like they're kind of stuck or have to take their Advil every day. Or they're just waiting to have to get that total joint, right?
Right.
Just putting that off when really maybe
just
there is something
expensive therapies that
absolutely
different expensive therapies that are out there. This, like I said, this is not a terribly expensive
very
peptide, and you're just doing it in short cycles. So you could try it for the 10 to 20 day cycle. If you get results, then it might be worth it to stay on it a couple times a year.
Absolutely. Well, that's great. Yeah.
Until we get healed.
I love it. There's just one more I want to mention. And I think I have this in my family history. I watched our grandmother go downhill pretty quickly with Alzheimer's disease. And so it's on my heart, but I also just think it's an epidemic in and of itself. And we have some new medications, but we don't actually have medications out there for cognitive decline that actually can reverse the cognitive decline people experience. And these medications are really expensive. They might halt the progression, but we're not seeing great outcomes here. So a peptide called dihexa that actually penetrates the blood-brain barrier, and it is useful in cognitive decline. But the mechanism is it actually increases neurogenesis, which is new neurons being formed, the growth and development of new neurons being formed in the brain, and improves synaptic plasticity. So it strengthens and forms new connection between these neurons. Even beyond trying to reverse cognitive decline, we're seeing its benefits for even just improving mental performance and being sharp. And so I think there's a lot of even younger patients that, maybe they've got some in their family history and they're concerned about cognitive, or they've looked at their genes and know that they're a little more at risk. But even just want to be a little bit more mentally sharp for their career, occupation, or just their life. So it was one that we were using a little bit, and I actually learned about a while back. But the FDA pulled it from us. And so for a couple of years, we didn't have access to this. And I'm so thankful that with some new connections we have, we now have access to this peptide again. And I'm very, very thankful for that. So it's a good one.
And this is an oral peptide.
It is. Thank you. Yes, it's oral.
Yeah.
Cerebrolysin is another one that I'm not going to really talk about tonight that has been, but I think dihexa is actually more exciting when it comes to cognition. Yes. Thank you. It's an oral peptide. And I think that's important because a lot of people are a little fearful of an injection, especially maybe some of the elderly, or they're, if we've got cognitive issues, there's no way they're going to let some caregiver or family member inject them into their abdomen.
Sure. Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Great
Good
point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
oral peptide is very exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. It seems like there's some challenges with getting oral absorption or gastric absorption of some of these peptides, but with the continued research, I'm excited about that there are more peptides coming out in oral formats. For people who are a little nervous about sticking themselves with a needle, or maybe they just get like needle fatigue or injection fatigue if they're using a number of different peptides and whatever. It is nice to have some oral options or topical options, depending on what you're kind of.
I've had luck with some intranasal. I've had, and I don't know if we even still have access to it. Selenk SELANK. I've had good luck with that guy in an intranasal form for some really anxious patients who were wanting to get off their SSRIs or get by with maybe lower doses of their SSRIs. And again, panic attacks, lots of anxiety, they're not going to inject themselves with a needle every day. So I had luck with it as an oral formulation. I don't think that's one we still have access to, but I should look into that.
We have it as an injectable.
Do we?
Mhm.
Okay.
We have it as an injectable.
I
was
love
actually
that.
looking into it to help treat some adult ADHD type symptoms.
Absolutely. It's so good for the brain. Yeah. I had a ton of luck with it for some pretty severe anxiety clients. So yeah. Let's talk more about that offline because I'm excited about that peptide offering.
Yeah, definitely. Well, does that wrap up all the peptides that you're wanting to
That's
talk
all I had. I mean, we could go on and on. There's so many new ones coming out and ones that we do have access to, but we take our prescribing abilities pretty seriously, and we want to make sure I mean, and I know I'm speaking for you too. Like, I want to be very educated on these new peptides that are coming out before I just start dispensing it. So again, I'm usually the guinea pig, or more often my husband's the guinea pig. And I'm like, hey, I've got some I want to try.
Well, yeah. So in closing us out here, peptides are targeted, safe, and they work with your body, and not against it. Instead of masking symptoms, they help your body to do what it's naturally designed to do, but better.
Love it.
Peptides are not a magic bullet.
Nope.
Key point. But they can be a powerful tool in your wellness journey when used safely and intentionally. Peptides can be stacked together, as we mentioned, for their synergistic effects. But each one is kind of used in different doses, timing, and duration. So it's always important to work with a trained provider who understands your body and your goals. In addition to this, it is critical to purchase peptides from a reputable, licensed compounding pharmacy or manufacturing laboratory, not from unregulated online stores.
Yeah.
Peptides sold online are often untested, improperly dosed, they can be contaminated, and they may not even contain what the label claims that they have in them.
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
So using low quality or counterfeit peptides can lead to ineffective results, unexpected side effects, or even harm. For safety, purity, and therapeutic effectiveness, always choose medical grade peptides and work with a trusted clinician guided source.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that. That's really important.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you. Hopefully there were some good tidbits and good pieces of material that you guys were able to learn from tonight, both as a patient and clinician out there. And we're offering all these different peptides at our Center for Optimal Health here in Eagle. And I think we're all taking new clients for anyone interested to learn more about these peptides. And if one or a stack of one of the above would be a good fit for you. Thanks, Heather.
Thanks, Amber.
Are you looking for high-quality supplements? FunMedShop.com is carefully curated by the wellness experts at Functional Medicine of Idaho. You'll find high-quality supplements to support your health and optimize your body's natural functions. Rooted in responsible sourcing and utmost commitment to purity ensures that you're getting products that are not only effective, but also safe and reliable. Plus, you'll find our own line, Functional Medicine Foundations, which is carefully formulated using the best ingredients available so you can trust that you're giving the body the support it needs. Visit funmedshop.com today and take the next step in your health journey. That's funmedshop.com. Thank you for listening to the Functional Medicine Foundations podcast. For more information on topics covered today, specialties available at the FMI Center for Optimal Health, and the highest quality of supplements and more, go to funmedfoundations.com.